This document here authorizes me to wear that badge. I'm one of the few civilian action officers in the world who are authorized to wear the badge. It takes 5 years to get it. This document here is a Joint Meritorious Unit Award signed by General Colin Powell. That's his signature there at the bottom. This is the Civilian Service Award for the Secretary of Defense Civilian Service Medal. This is the medal. See, folks, some people said CUPPETT never been there. He didn't do that. He's never been on the Pentagon. Well, I have. And here's my retirement certificate signed by none other than Dick Cheney. In 2004, I was in the Israeli Knesset. Here's my Knesset pass. With Israel in mind, during this presentation, you're going to see two flags. The U.S. flag you see flying or hanging was the one which hung over the Capitol in 1976 at the bicentennial. That's the U.S. flag. You'll also see an Israeli flag. This was taken around the walls of Jerusalem about 3 years ago. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to know one thing, if nothing else. The only two nations that stand between the New World Order and the world government is the United States and Israel. The United Nations is better known as the alias as the New World Order. They hate the seed of Abraham by the flesh. They hate the seed of Abraham by the Spirit. That's the Christians. And they don't like anybody who's a conservative. And if you get in their way, you're going to be cannon fodder. Now, I'm speaking without maps and pictures for the most part, but so here's the things I'd like you to learn. The New World Order is operating in the United States as I speak right now, and as I speak to you now, they have a plan. They have lists of names, they have secret police and troops, they have equipment, monitoring devices, tracking equipment, a command and control communications infrastructure set up, they have secret and hidden facilities and detention camps, and yes, they have crematoriums set up and detention centers. Why has this happened to the USA is one of the reasons I'm here, and I'm going to tell you why this has happened. I'm going to tell you how the Lord plans to save some of the believers and some of the Jewish people in this country, and I'm going to tell you why my Jewish friends need to make Aliyah. Back in 1984, I went to FEMA headquarters, Federal Emergency Management Agency, and I noticed when I walked in, they made me sign in or escort me around. I said, what's going on here? Well, we got top secret code word clearances. I said, yeah, I do too, and what's going on that you guys have to have code word clearances? What are you hiding from the people? See, this is a civil agency, Flood and Mud. What's Flood and Mud doing with top secret code word clearances? I checked it out, and an old friend of mine said, I'll tell you what it is. It's the continuity of government plan. They have a plan to regionalize the United States and take it over. Terrorism and national emergency is what they're working on. They need emergency preparedness, national emergency, and terrorism is a tool. You remember it says, Ordo ab chaos, this is their motto. Out of chaos, they have a new world order coming. They have a plan to regionalize the United States and put us under regional government, which is the continuity government plan. They plan to ban all Bibles, and they plan to collect all the guns in the United States. There are two kinds of power, folks. There's spiritual power, it comes out of the Bible, a Bible. There is physical power, which comes out of a gun barrel. Now, let me encapsulate a little portion of this plot so you can grasp it. It's a huge plot, but I'm going to give you a little section of it. In 1947, Heinrich Müller was speaking to an OSS agency. Müller was a Gestapo chief, and he escaped from Germany. He escaped to Switzerland, and he was being interviewed in 1947 and 48. He said, I can bring about a coup in the United States. And the man says, you can't do that. We don't have a controlled press. He says, how many services do you have? Oh, about 6. He said, what if all news services were in the same city? Oh, well, we haven't. That is the situation. New York and one in Atlanta. The press, folks, is lying to you. I'll tell you this. I'm going to prove it to you. I'd like to give you a little scenario that they pulled as a ploy. You recall the $640 toilet seat? Well, that never happened. But you see, that was a ploy they put out so that military people, when we start telling you about these things, they're going to say, hey, man, you guys in DOD, you couldn't even buy a toilet seat right. That was a ploy that was put out. It was a complete lie. Now, there was an incident which happened in 1996. Tom Brokaw reported that there had been 25 tons of high nitrate fertilizer stolen from Brewston Mills, West Virginia Farmers Co-op. That's my beat. So I go there with my ball hat and my 3 federal ID cards. In the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses shall every word be established. I got a hold of 2 employees, Mr. CUPPETT. There was no fertilizer ever stolen from this facility. It was a bookkeeping error, and they told the whole world Janet Reno, Louis Freeh, Bill Clinton, and Tom Brokaw told the whole world that there was 25 tons of high nitrate bomb-grade fertilizer floating around the United States. Now, why would they do that? They did that because they think that you believe that Tim McVeigh and high-grade fertilizer blew up the Murrah building. This is the diagram which was put together by Brigadier General Ben Parton, directed energy weapons expert for the Department of Defense. He testified at the second grand jury in Oklahoma that fertilizer will not cut reinforced concrete past 23 feet. This truck bomb was 35 feet from the building. It was impossible for fertilizer to have brought that building down. And so what they wanted you to know and try to tell you that this fertilizer which is floating out there, they put terror in you and fear in you that you'll give your rights up. Now, after these choppers flew over in my house in '94, and I'm doing this chronologically, okay, I went and briefed the state police commander, Colonel Wayne Huggins. I told him, they're going to send all of our guys overseas, Colonel, and they're going to send UN troops here. Well, I may not be a prophet, but I got something right. We are now deployed in 178 countries. Now, you remember one thing. When ancient Israel sinned, God sent a foreign army to take over the country. The same thing's happening here. Now, point I want to make right here and now. Gary Aldridge was an FBI agent in the Clinton White House. He wrote a book, Unlimited Access. In that book, he made two very important points. The first point was that on Inauguration Day, Hillary Clinton fought Al Gore for the East Wing office. The second important point that he made was she had the domestic policy of the United States. She was the co-president. That's what we're going to find out, and I can prove that as I go through this scenario. By the way, there were 5 wide-body jet crashes of aircraft that left JFK. That is an astronomical mathematical probability which can't happen. But you think about it. During the Clinton administration with Bush, Clinton, and Bush, there were 5 wide-body jet crashes out of JFK. There was a snowstorm in 1996 in February. I heard it on WTOP, 20 inches deep. The word came out of WTOP that the First Lady had 16 staffers, and 4 of them had to be taken by Humvees to the White House. Now, folks, the Pentagon Ops Center, the National Military Command Center, the Navy Ops Center, Army Ops, White House Communications Agency, they have to go in snow. Why does the First Lady have to have 4 of her staffers go in? Because she is running what I would call the basement cabinet. Ollie North referred to it as the parallel government, but we're going to find out it's the shadow government, and I'll show you as we progress. 16 staffers, 4 of them had to go in snowstorm. Ladies and gentlemen, I would have you know that there is a command and control circuit from Brussels, Belgium, to every head of state in the world, and that includes the White House. And I can show you through evidence, circumstantial evidence, that the Brussels, the NATO, and the UN are calling the shots at the White House. Let's jump ahead to 2001, 9/11. Right after 9/11, there's a report. I heard it myself. Dick Cheney had taken the shadow government into a bunker. Uh-oh, there we have the identification of the entity, the shadow government. Tom Daschle got up on national TV and he says, I never heard of a shadow government. No, Senator, you're not supposed to have heard of a shadow government because we got a constitutional government. We don't need a shadow government. Now, with that point in mind, I have a point to make here about a letter which came out of the National Guard. In 1994, there was a National Guard letter which came out saying that there would be Romanian troops in Alabama, Slovenian troops in Colorado, Slovakian troops in Indiana, Ukrainian troops in California, and it would be a partnership for peace agreement. No U.S. general wants any foreign troops in this country like that. They were ordered from above to do it, and the shadow government gave the orders. Now, in 1994, there was a report that Mr. Clinton had imported 700,000 Makarov pistols, 9mm times 18. The first time I heard that, I said, uh-oh, that's the sidearms for the UN peacekeepers. You see, the Soviet order of battle requires a prepositioning of supplies and equipment prior to offensive operations. In 1982, the Israelis captured 500,000 unit sets of equipment